I hear this all the time from the women I work with. Antibiotics just don't work anymore. Like I get symptoms, my symptoms come back. Antibiotics aren't helping anymore. I'm taking so many and I'm not getting anywhere. So if this is your experience too, then I see you and I feel for you because it's tough. It really is. But I have some good news for you. I'm going to be sharing with you some alternative solutions. How you can actually start using all the wonderful natural remedies that we have. So, welcome to the episode number 1 of Naturally UTI Free with me, Saila. And I created this podcast and my business around recurrent UTIs in particular because I had a problem. In my 20s, I had a lot of recurrent UTIs, and essentially, antibiotics failed me. I started taking more and more antibiotics, even doing it for like a long-term course of antibiotics, and it just got worse. I would get more and more infections. I would have side effects. I would get really sick taking the medicine, and eventually I was like, nah, this is it. I'm stopping this. It's not working. And I started to investigate the natural medicine. Like what can I do to stop getting UTIs in the first place? So let's dive in to our topic. When antibiotics stop working for recurrent UTIs, then what? What can you actually do? What options do you have? And the good thing is there are many different options and solutions, so you're never stuck with just antibiotics. So just to briefly, let's just cover why antibiotics fail, especially for women having UTIs. As you probably know, UTI is the most common bacterial infection in women. At least 50% of women have them at least once in their lifetime. Another 20 or 30% end up having recurrent infections. So this is incredibly common in women. And at least 35% of the acute antibiotic treatment for UTI fails. That's a lot. So usually this means that when you take antibiotics for symptoms, maybe you feel relief for a little bit, but then the symptoms come back soon after. So this happens because antibiotics don't actually fix the root cause of recurrent UTIs. They kill the bacteria, yes, and you can think about the bacteria as the root cause, but I have a different perspective on this. It's more just a symptom of a systemic problem, systemic imbalance. So using antibiotics tends to be a quite superficial solution for a lot of women. It doesn't resolve the deeper systemic problem that's underneath the repeated infections. So one of the reasons why antibiotics fail is that they don't really go deep enough. Especially with the UTI bacteria, they're very good at hiding in the bladder lining. And so they know how to avoid being detected by the drugs and by your immune system. They're actually very clever. And of course, when you take a lot of different kind of antibiotics and you take them repeatedly, then you often end up having a level of antibiotic resistance. So when the bacteria mutate, they become stronger and resilient, and so they won't be impacted by the drugs anymore. And also the side effects from antibiotics, how they really damage your microbiome in your gut and in your vagina. This actually weakens your immune system overall, and again makes it just easier for the infections to take hold. So if you are feeling like you don't know what to do next, you're just taking all the antibiotics you've been given and feel like you're not getting anywhere, then maybe it's a sign that you should try some alternative options. So if you keep getting UTI symptoms shortly after the treatment is finished, or you're having multiple rounds of antibiotics in a year or even in a month, and you just feel like your body isn't recovering fully, like these are all signs that you probably need some additional support to resolve the problem. So let's explore your options and the next steps you can take when you want to move away from antibiotics and start embracing the natural remedies. So I'm going to talk about 3 different things here today. So we're going to cover how to make your body stronger overall, making your immune system stronger. And then we're going to talk a little bit about identifying the root cause. And then thirdly, we're just going to have a little overview of the natural and holistic and homeopathic treatment options for UTIs and how that actually works. So let's start with strengthening your body's own defenses. Because if you think about that, your body has this amazing innate ability to heal. Like you get a cut on your finger, or you get a cold, or you get a flu. Your body knows how to heal it. Your body knows how to overcome a lot of infections and illnesses. And that's because that's what your body's designed to do. It's designed to heal itself. But sometimes it gets stuck for many different reasons. And one of the reasons is we are living in a world with a lot of different toxins, from heavy metals to pharmaceutical medicines to all kinds of pesticides and chemicals in our food, in our water. And it's impossible to avoid that these days. And then you add in the different bacteria and viruses that are actually harmful, like Epstein-Barr viruses, we have strep, we have different herpes viruses. These can often kind of accumulate in your body. They can find a way in your body and overall make you just weaker. So building a stronger immune system and kind of building up that resilience in you is very, very important. And not just for your UTIs, but for everything else, for your overall health. So there's different ways to do this, but one of the core things is obviously the food you consume, your diet. Is this something that you can maybe look at? Is there something you can improve? Eat more vegetables and fruit and start avoiding maybe some of the processed food you eat. Are you maybe eating a lot of sugar? Are you eating a lot of fat and fried foods, a lot of pizza, that kind of things? Are you drinking a lot of coffee or drinking a lot of alcohol? Are you smoking? So all these things you can just review and maybe make small changes, and that's going to help. There's a lot of healing compounds in foods, especially like in green leafy vegetables and different berries and fruit and even potatoes, sweet potatoes. They're very healing for your body. And of course, hydration. When we're talking about UTIs, staying hydrated every day, not just water, but also herbal teas, adding a little bit of lemon in your water. And rest. Are you resting enough? Getting enough sleep? How's your energy levels? These are kind of things you can slowly change. You don't have to change everything overnight. I think that would be too much. You might end up feeling overwhelmed. But making a small change every day or every week, then over time, like if you look back like a year from now, you look back where you were now, and then a year from now, you can be in a completely different place. And I mentioned before the gut and vaginal microbiome. So especially if you've been taking a lot of antibiotics, this is something I would suggest to look at and maybe improve, is how to build a stronger microbiome that's likely been compromised by the antibiotics. And also if you are in perimenopause or in menopause, that's when your body will go through changes that will also affect all the beneficial bacteria in your body. So this can look like taking probiotics, eating foods that are rich in probiotics, like fermented foods, eating again a lot of vegetables and leafy greens because they contain prebiotics, and these will then obviously feed the good bacteria in your gut and helping them to become stronger. Because ideally you want to have a good ratio of the beneficial bacteria in relation to the harmful ones. So the good bacteria will always keep the bad ones in check, and this will help you not to get UTIs as much. especially when it comes to a vaginal microbiome, and this is not talked about a lot. And especially in menopause and perimenopause, you often end up with a slight imbalance in the beneficial bacteria in the vaginal area, which can then lead to more UTIs. Okay, so number 2 is about identifying the root cause. So you probably know your trigger, like what causes your UTIs. For many women, it's sexual activity. It could be hormonal changes. It could be you get UTIs during your period, or you're going through the perimenopause, menopause, or any other hormonal problems you might be having. It could be that you've been having lots of health issues and then you've been taking all kinds of medications and your body just overall is maybe not feeling the best, and this can then obviously then lead to more symptoms and more health problems. Maybe you've been going through a lot of stress, chronic stress, maybe traumatic events, situations. There could be even certain food and drinks and your diet, your overall lifestyle habits can trigger UTIs as well. So this is something to look at, is is there any changes you can make to your lifestyle, and identify where the root cause is coming from, and also when did you first start? Like, when did you first start getting UTIs? Like, can you look back? Like, what was going on in your life around that time? And then that can sometimes help connect some dots for you, and understanding that the underlying root cause can be something quite deep inside of us, going back 10 years, even 20 years. And a recurrent UTI is a problem that doesn't usually start overnight. It's something that builds up over years. That's what I see in a lot of the women I work with. And as I mentioned earlier, the toxicity. Unfortunately, this is often one of the big causes of all kinds of health problems now. Because when we're burdened by toxins, our liver can't very effectively clear them, and a lot of the toxins build up in our organs, and the body's resources get directed into trying to deal with the toxins and bacteria and things like that. So we're not working as efficiently as we could. So any kind of like gentle cleansing and detoxing you can do will probably help, and you can do this with making changes in your diet and using herbal remedies and even homeopathic remedies you can use for detox. And especially if you've been taking a lot of antibiotics, that's kind of one of the things I often do with the women I work with. We go through like an antibiotic detox. It helps to clear any side effects and also heal the liver and the overall immune system. So number 3 is how to actually treat chronic and recurrent UTIs with natural and holistic remedies. So I'm a homeopath, and so this is my preferred method is to use homeopathic remedies, because they're just so much more effective, in my opinion, than many of the other natural remedies, even though they do have a place in the treatment as well. I do love like herbal remedies. I love vitamins and supplements as well. But homeopathy is very quick, especially when it comes to acute pain and discomfort. It can work in minutes. It can be really incredible. That's what I experienced when I started using homeopathic remedies for my UTIs. So there's different ways we can use homeopathy for recurrent UTIs. This always depends on your circumstances. So if you would come to see me as a patient, I would take your whole case and I would then analyze it and be like, okay, what does this person need, and how do we approach this situation to make sure that we get the best results, and it's also as gentle as possible so we don't cause any further problems, at the same time as making sure that you don't have to suffer with pain and discomfort. So for example, if you have UTIs that come after intimacy, so after intercourse, then usually I recommend taking remedies after the intimacy to use as a prophylaxis. So this often prevents infections. Like that was also my experience when I had recurrent UTIs. So I actually never needed antibiotics again when I started using homeopathic remedies, because I used this technique of after intimacy I would take one dose of a certain remedy that was, the best for me. And yeah, and always, even if I would get slight symptoms, I was always able to really prevent a full-on UTI, which was amazing. And another way to use homeopathic medicines and homeopathic treatment is something called a constitutional treatment. So this is where we look at the total picture. So not just your UTI symptoms, but everything else that's going on in your life. You might be having period problems, you might be having sleep issues, you might be having digestive problems, maybe you have headaches and skin issues and mental health struggles, maybe you have anxiety or fears, or you've just been going through a lot of things. So we look at everything as a total picture, and then I'll pick the best remedies that would match your unique symptoms and your unique circumstances. And this way we can create really deep and lasting healing, because we're going really deep into the root cause, and we're treating you as a whole person, not just your bladder. And like I mentioned before, also I use homeopathic remedies to detox previous medication or any other kind of substance that maybe has caused issues. So for example, antibiotics. So if you feel like you need a bit of help to rebuild your microbiome, you feel like there's some lingering side effects, or maybe your liver is compromised, you're having digestive issues, you're having yeast infections, all those things, then the antibiotic detox can be very, very helpful. The way we use homeopathic remedies for that is very gentle but effective. So we usually support all the detox pathways. So make sure your liver is okay, you're pooping often enough, and you're peeing often enough, so your kidneys and your bowels, your intestines are working. And then we add on the detox remedies, and it can really transform your health. It's beautiful. And I do also like using herbal and supplements to support your bladder and your kidneys and your immune system. They're kind of the building blocks for your health. Same as food. So consuming healthy foods will just help you overall. So this is one of the ways, or a few of the ways, I use homeopathic treatment. And now you're probably thinking like, well, where do I start? And I think the best way to start is obviously trying to build your immune system and your overall health. So like I mentioned, making changes to your diet, taking different supplements like vitamin C and zinc, they're very good for the immune system. There are different herbal remedies as well you can look up. And then getting familiar with how to use homeopathic remedies. So when you add homeopathy on top of your diet changes and your herbal and supplement support, it is like rocket fuel. It can really speed up the process. And if you ever want to know how to use homeopathic remedies, or if you're interested in homeopathic treatment, then feel free to contact me. I'm here for you, so we can always discuss your situation. And I'll leave you with one thing, and that is that recovery is possible even after years of having UTIs. So if you had them for years, that's okay. Your body is very capable of healing, and it can almost perform miracles sometimes. Like, you don't have to live with UTIs for the rest of your life. I truly, truly believe that. Maybe because I healed mine, and so I had a lived experience. So if I can do it, then you can do it, because I'm not special. So I've now been UTI and antibiotic free for 13 years. And sometimes it's just a combination of different things that work. And natural remedies is great because they're a lot safer. So you can experiment more, and you can take more like risks with them, so to speak. and you can try different things and see what actually works for you, and what works for your unique situation, for your unique symptoms. But you absolutely can heal. Like, I do believe that. So I'll leave you here and I'll be back next time. In the meantime, just take care of yourself.